In 2019, we were approached by Parks Canada to create a new tourism product reflecting Métis culture. Together, we decided to go with outerwear capote designs using beautiful 6-point HPC blankets. We selected 11 designers to participate, and they all made stunning capotes in both traditional and contemporary styles.
It was the perfect opportunity to try something new, to add a new skill.
I heard about it and I'm like, yeah, that's totally me. I wanted to do that.
And I thought, well, try it out, see if I can design one here.
This was like the perfect contest for me to enter because it's exactly what I do.
After I read it, I thought, there's no way. There's no way I can enter this because I'm not a fashion designer. I'm not in the fashion industry. I'm not even a seamstress.
I have spent my whole life being interested in arts and crafts and sewing and design.
My mom actually was the one that told me, she's like, hey, they're having this Metis Fashion Show competition. I'm like, competition? I'm in.
I just think it's really a cool project. The capot sort of shows the ingenuity of our ancestors, right? And you know, it shows a very real part of our history in terms of the climate in which the Métis Nation developed.
It really shows their creativity and their resourcefulness, you know, like, because all of a sudden winter came along and these men didn't have warm clothing, you know, and they were receiving these blankets from the exchange for the pelts. So the women, they used the blankets to make coats for the men.
We have some pretty cold temperatures, right? You need to be prepared. You also need to have things that are functional and you know, you can still move around in. And so I think the capot from that perspective, I think is just a genius sort of use of those materials that were made available through those trade relationships with the Hudson's Bay Company.
The stripes on them, that signifies, my understanding, signifies the size of the blanket and also the number of pelts that they needed.
They'd lay the furs on the counter and then they'd just lay a blanket beside it like that, and they'd count the points on it, see what value it is. And whatever amount of stack of furs you had, you get other things with it. Eh? So that's how they bartered and traded.
They told us that we were all getting different color blankets. I was excited about that. Then they told us which specific ones of us got the 350th anniversary blanket. And so after the call, I immediately jumped to Hudson's Bay site to go see which ones they were.
Maybe I'm just not very original. I always just in my head saw it as that classic 4-colored Hudson's Bay blanket. And that's all I could picture the whole time I was doing it. And I was a little bit nervous of you know, getting a different color. But I just was like, well, we'll see what happens. And then it showed up and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was, I wish I could pick lottery numbers like that. It was exactly the classic, you know, 6-point 4-colored Hudson's Bay blanket. So it was exactly what I was hoping for.
So I got a charcoal gray blanket with black stripes on the top and the bottom. And when I first opened the box, I thought, I'm definitely going to have to dress this up.
My dad has a gray Hudson Bay wool coat. So I don't know if it was partly that or like the cowboy culture, whatever. And when I got the box and opened it up and it was gray, I was really happy. I was pleasantly surprised.
So it's a huge thing with the Métis connection with the river. So anyways, that's in the back of my mind. I open up my box and it's blue. So I get this blue one, light blue with a dark blue stripe. And yeah, so I knew exactly, I'm like, done. I know what I'm doing.
I wanted anything with color, anything. Like I would take any blanket but brown. And you know, I opened the box and what color did I get? Brown.
I had all these designs chosen in my head of what I would do with every color, and I got the one I didn't want.
The one I wanted most was the blue, but after blue, white, my second choice was the one I got, and I am not mad about it. Honestly, I'm just grateful I didn't get mustard yellow.
When it was indicated to me I was receiving the 350th year blanket, I was even more excited. The energy was there. I'm like, this one is going to have swirly colors, or there's going to be some patch that really identifies it. The colors that I ended up getting were very mustard.
Then I started to realize that looks like a ribbon skirt. And then so I was like, perfect, I can make it like a ribbon skirt. I can incorporate that feeling of a ribbon skirt in there. And so that's what I did. The actual history of the blanket for this one is called Ice Cream, and it talks about being a spring color. And Winnipeg springs are freezing cold, but we also wear t-shirts and flip-flops. So I wanted to make it kind of a shorter jacket with shorter sleeves so you can get the cool air, but then if you're getting cold, you have your wool or your fur hood there to keep you nice and warm. At the end, I was very happy that I got the blanket because then it kind of made a story for me out of everything.
The design is the fun part. I'm not going the traditional capote route. And what I'm doing is I'm designing or have designed a bit more of a shawl and a bit more of a outer jacket that somebody can wear. I think it's very important we don't lose sight at any time of how strong, how important that capote is for the recognition, the identification with the Métis community. But I'm also excited that we're allowed to have some fun with it and design something new. And that's why I'm trying to combine a little bit of the old with a little bit of the new.
What they told us was it had to be outerwear, right? It didn't necessarily have to be a capote and had to be outerwear. And I kind of kept thinking like, well, what does that leave, right? What's the possibilities here? And I came up with, it's basically a cape and with a large beaded collar. And that's how I'm integrating my beadwork into it. 3/4 length, I guess, is how you'd sort of describe it. Just sort of past the knee, I guess. Length, and it'll be, it'll meet here at the center, long sort of draping, and then the beaded collar.
I wanted to look at something that was fashion, that I would wear probably every day. Like if I would wear this and people go, oh, that's a beautiful coat. But I also wanted it to be, it still had that Métis heritage to it. So here in Alberta, I've done numerous hikes. I love looking up flowers. I love looking at that kind of knowledge and what they were used for. So every flower that is in Region 3, my ARC area, I have looked at and embroidered in some way or form or beaded onto the coat.
I discovered that Métis women did embroidery. They embroidered still in the floral design, the same as most of their beadwork. And they're so big. They're huge. I've never worked with them. I mean, I think I probably have almost enough to make another one.
To me, really shows kind of how we would use whatever material at our disposal. And we really were kind of concerned with high fashion, And so it's influenced by high fashion, particularly in France and Britain. But it has such a distinct local flair. And some of the things that they could have done European style, they actively chose to, for example, close it with a sash instead. When you read descriptions of different attires, both written by Métis and by outsiders, that Métis were just better dressed.
I kind of tried to design a pattern that would highlight feminine lines. Because the traditional capote is a little bit more boxy and it's more the belt that gives it some of the shape. So I'm adding a lot of applique designs. I'll be doing some Métis floral patterns to imitate Métis beadwork. I'm very excited about those because they really highlight culture, and I've mostly used kind of satiny pieces, so they're quite shiny and it'll give the coat a nice polished look.
Just something different. It's more of a car coat. It's not full length. It's down just to your knees. Buffalo teeth for buttons. I made some leather buttons for the hood, so it's detachable. And I put a collar on it so you can wear it without the hood. I put pockets in it sideways. They're more hand warmers than they are pockets. I'm going to use a Métis sash for the belt. And I put leather fringes on the underarm here. The fringes are for, I don't know if you know, but they help to keep the water running off the capote. That's what fringes are for, even on the leather jacket, see?
Because of the color of the blanket and the theme, that river was super important. So I actually took that, the dark blue stripe, and wanted to really put that right in the center. It's very, very intentional. Like, this is a river, that blue right in the center. And then I'm putting my flowers kind of around that. And, that would be like the shore or the people. My flowers can signify lots of different things.
My family has served in the military as well. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, look, I'm doing a military tribute capote. I like functionality over looks. So like, I like to have the pockets in the arms and different things like that. So I'm putting pockets on the arms. But the one thing I did is I went and I ordered the 3 camouflages that the Canadian Forces have served. I'm putting those on the shoulder. So I'm going to have the beige one, and then the green camo, and then the green underneath that. Yeah. And then I'm going to sew it on so you can put the Canadian Forces patch on top of that. So that's going to be on the one side as a tribute to all the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people that have served, people that I know, people that have been in my family, and also for all the people that I don't know.
My dad was gifted this vest from my grandmother, and it is so cool. This is so old, and feeling like it was all hand embroidery. He's giving it to me for inspiration, and so what I have done in mine is I blew up the pocket, and I've done embroidery and beading, and so that's going to tie into this in my jacket. So I'm quite proud of that. I'm going to have my dad wear that and actually go out to the ranch and drive a team of horses exactly like his ancestors did.
I think being able to get back in touch with our heritage, being able to be okay with being, we are Métis, and being proud of it.
The more you wear your coat, people are just like a magnet. They attract people. They come and ask, where'd you get that thing?
I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to create this piece the way I have, because I wanted it to be a learning thing, because so much knowledge has been lost and it needs to be kept.
I mean, I think the significance of these sorts of projects is just in the evident truth that we as a nation haven't forgotten who we are, and I think that's really important.
This is one of those things where you can really celebrate. You can really wear it. It's not just a Métis thing. It's also a Canadian historical thing.
This is pride. Doing this, I think that there's a lot of my ancestors are proud.
On behalf of Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, I want to thank Parks Canada and all the participants that made this a success.